So let's dive into a fable that's really old, like over 2,500 years old. But you'll be surprised at how much it has to say about our very modern feelings of anxiety and just being overwhelmed.
You know that feeling, right? That constant nagging sense that you're being hunted, that you're always on the defensive. That kind of chronic fear, man, it is exhausting. And that's exactly what this ancient story is all about.
So, this feeling of being constantly hunted, it's not just in your head. People have actually used a story for centuries to make sense of it.
Now, what's really wild is that life back in ancient Greece was, well, it was incredibly precarious. People felt like they were at the mercy of forces way bigger than them, gods, empires, nature itself. And this fable, it came right out of that environment as a way to find some perspective in all the chaos. All right, so let's get to the story. It's super simple, it's quick, and honestly, its power is in that simplicity. So, let's meet our main characters. Okay, so first up, you've got the Hares, and these guys are, well, they're timid, they're high-strung, perpetually anxious, living in this state of constant high alert. Every little rustle of leaves, every shadow that flies overhead, and boom, they're scattering for their lives. And, eventually it all just got to be too much. The here became so relentless, so completely overwhelming, that they came to this really grim conclusion. It was just better to end it all than to live one more day in that kind of misery. So, with this dark plan in mind, they start running, and as this frantic stampede of theirs brings them to the edge of a pond, something completely unexpected happens. See, there were these frogs, just chilling on the bank, minding their own business, and they were absolutely terrified by the thundering sound of the hares coming toward them. In a flash of green, they just dive into the water, looking for shelter from what they saw as this massive, terrifying threat. And this is the moment everything changes. One of the hares just skids to a halt, sees the frogs fleeing from them, and has this sudden, really profound aha moment. In that single instant, their entire worldview just flips completely upside down. So, what just happened there? This isn't just some cute little story. It's actually a powerful psychological tool about what happens when you just shift your gaze. This slide just lays it out so perfectly. Look at the shift. At first, the hares were only looking upward at their predators. That made them feel like the ultimate victim, and the result was total despair. But then, their perspective shifted. They started looking outward at the frogs, and suddenly, they didn't feel like victims anymore. They felt interconnected, and that feeling replaced despair with a sense of power and a real reason to keep going. And that brings us to a really powerful question, right? Think about it. When you realize that you, even when you're feeling small and insignificant, actually have an impact on other people, how does that change the story you tell yourself about who you are? Okay, so this is a fantastic insight, but how do we, actually use it? Let's break down how this ancient wisdom can translate into practical, everyday actions. All right, on a personal level, next time you feel that anxiety creeping in, try shifting your focus from inside your own head to the outside world. Find someone you can help, even in a small way. Seriously, that act of service is a powerful circuit breaker for self-pity. It's all about grounding yourself in what's real, instead of those worst-case scenarios your mind loves to invent. And just remembering, hey, you're not alone in your fears. Almost everyone is carrying their own. And in our relationships, oh man, this lesson is huge. It's a reminder that even when you feel powerless, maybe especially then, your words and your actions still have weight. So don't let the pressure you feel from your boss turn into a harsh word to your partner or your kid. You might not feel like a lion, but to someone else, you have this incredible capacity to be a source of strength, to lead, and to inspire. And this is so relevant at work. Think about it. When you're stressed about a deadline, your team might be more afraid of your reaction than you are of the project actually failing. In that moment, they are your frogs. This is also just a great reminder to stop comparing yourself only to the superstar at the top of the ladder. Look around you. Recognize your own progress and the stabilizing effect you have on the people right beside you. Okay, so beyond the practical tips, what's the deeper, more philosophical thing we can take away from this? What gives the hares a real reason to keep going? Well, the fable really taps into this ancient idea called the Great Chain of Being. It's a concept that shaped Western thought for centuries, this idea that everything is interconnected in a kind of vast hierarchy. Every single one of us has a specific place, a unique burden to carry, and a role to play.
The hares, they didn't suddenly escape their predators, but they found their place in the world. And in doing that, they found their purpose.
And this right here, this is the core of it. The goal isn't a life with zero fear. I mean, that's just a fantasy. Real strength is found when you recognize that we're all in this struggle together, that life is a shared experience, and that it's absolutely worth participating in, fully and bravely.
So, I'm going to leave you with this to think about. Who are the frogs in your life? Who are the people looking to you for stability, for courage, for an example to follow? Who could benefit from that strength you have, even, and maybe especially, when you feel like you have none to spare?
This isn't about ignoring fear, not at all. It's about seeing it, acknowledging it, and choosing to see the bigger picture anyway. It's about walking with your eyes open, not just looking up at the threats, but looking out at the world around you and seeing the powerful place you hold right there within it.